The good member from the 2nd District, Representative Wilcox.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank you for the opportunity to speak about someone who grew up in my district, probably walked every foot of my district. And I know that those who are voting no today are doing it not out of any rancor. I want to acknowledge this, but out of respect for our history. And I just want to share the respect that I have for Billy Frank. I'm not someone that looks for great men and women to meet. I've never run to get into a picture with somebody, but I am profoundly fortunate to have accidentally met, possibly in the long sweep of history, the greatest man who was born in Washington. I thought that we might hear a little more about Billy's history previously, but we didn't, so I'm going to share a little bit of it. Billy grew up along the Nisqually River, down on the Delta, about 4 or 5 miles, well, maybe 10 miles downstream from where I grew up. He was involved in the struggles in the 60s and 70s to stand up for treaty rights. He talks to people in his autobiography and in interviews about the times that he was arrested. He called himself a getting arrested guy. The times that he was beat up. He wasn't a hooligan. He wasn't an outlaw. He was standing up for rights that had been granted in an agreement in the 1850s, and he was vindicated by the Supreme Court. But that's not why he's great, Madam Speaker. The things that he endured and the victories that he won, he's a great man, Madam Speaker, because after all that he went through, and I think it was very, very hard, harder than any of us can imagine, he forgave. Madam Speaker, he didn't get bitter. He forgave everybody. He never gave up his struggle, and he moved on to expand it. But he was never bitter. The reason that I know him is that he and my father, many years ago, were involved in a set of meetings about the future of the Nisqually River. And at one point, it looked like the federal government might take over the whole Nisqually River as a park. And if you know my father, you know how shattering that would have been for him. And there was a very contentious meeting that's been documented in Crosscut magazine and in Billy Frank's biography, where Billy stood up and said, "We have to stop this. This is for all of us to get along. I want Weyerhaeuser to be here, putting people to work, and I want the farmers to be able to exist along the river. We're going to get along, or we're not going to do this." And they stood up and shook hands. In Crosscut, they call that the handshake that changed history. He didn't have to do that, Madam Speaker. He could have been bitter. His ancestors walked on the ground that my dad and I live on. He didn't covet that. He wanted bigger things, Madam Speaker, and he's been an example to the entire world. One of my most treasured memories in life is when I first was going to run for office, my dad said, "We've got to go talk to Billy." We sat down in Yelm with Billy and George Walters, and Billy didn't try to talk to me about politics much, but he had a life lesson that is among the most important things I've ever heard. He said, "JT, I've accomplished things in my life. We in the tribes have been 14-0 in court. We've reached a place now where if we think that there's an important issue, we can go to the legislature, someone will write a bill and it'll probably get passed and the governor will sign it. But that can all go away. It can go away tomorrow. The only thing that lasts is when you help the people on the other side understand your point of view and you join hands in agreement." That's why he's a great man, Madam Speaker. Thank you for this bill.
Thank you.